Over the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing and highlighting some truly interesting people. Everyone who is anyone, both the famous and the infamous. From presidents and their first ladies to kings and queens, movie stars and pop stars, captains of industry, heads of state, sports personalities, innovative entrepreneurs, and some pretty fascinating everyday people. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Craig Goodliffe, a successful entrepreneur whose company assists small business owners in hiring people internationally. Craig, did I say that correctly? Is it Goodliffe or Goodliffe?
You asked me on a good day. It's good
Ha,
luck.
I love it.
It's good luck. It's good luck. Thank you.
No, it's so funny because someone with a name that is a little bit off the beaten path, Starlet, even though everyone calls me Star, I want to make sure that I say it correctly. So, Mr. Goodliffe, it's a pleasure to have the chance to chat with you. And I really want to talk about the mission of Cyberbacker because you created this out of that wonderful brain of yours. Tell me what services the company provides.
Well, I come from a long line of small business owners in my family, and a lot of my colleagues and whatnot, that's just kind of what they do. And like all great stories that start out with once upon a time, I came in contact with someone from the Philippines, and she was working with me and working really well. Later on, I got to hear her story that she got pregnant, was at the hospital giving birth, and didn't like the life that she was in, and she went home with strangers from the hospital. True story. And then she and I began to work together, and I learned her story later that she needed to find a job where she could work online, and she did a great job for me and was able to move back with her family, lives a great life now, has 3 kids, and I'm just really proud of her success. But she helped me in my business a tremendous deal. A lot of people wanted to know what was my secret sauce and how did it seem like I could do so much. And I just had this way of finding great people and then being able to train them and create great opportunities to stay in business with them and earn that right. And so here we are. I've had the privilege of, we've created over 3,400 jobs and for several different industries, and I'm just truly blessed.
And, that's the real entrepreneurs. They always say that, given the opportunity, I had an open mind. And that's what you did. You had an open mind to the possibilities. So, okay, let me be devil's advocate. What are your bona fides in administrative support solutions and technology? Because if I'm going to hire you to make my life better, I need to know that you're bringing something to the table other than an appetite. What you got, Craig?
I love that. Well, for me personally, I've coached, trained, and done a lot with small business owners. I've got over 10,000 hours in coaching, training, and development with entrepreneurs. And so I've lived in the trenches with them on trying to find a great support system, trying to find a great assistant, trying to find people to help them navigate this social media world that over the last 20 years crept up on us and started dominating businesses. I've worked with, small entrepreneurs that had no online presence and they didn't have time to learn another skill set. And they found it was a lot easier to hire someone who already knew that and who was better at them than that and at those different things. And truthfully, there's very few things that you can't hire off anymore to someone. Doesn't matter where they're at. I mean, work from home is becoming very, very popular. And so that's what we've managed to do. And I'm pretty excited about that.
I'm someone who hires gig employees all the time. And so I am curious about that secret sauce, as they say. How do you find the best professionals to fit the clients who need their help?
Well, I hate to go ahead and tell you the screening process, but on average per week, we'll get over 20,000 applicants.
Really?
Really. We will only interview close to 4,500. And of those, unfortunately, we'll only hire about 100. And so it's that process. And a lot of times, because we're hiring internationally, we're hiring from countries that don't always have great internet service and they don't always have a great computer. And so we've been working to go ahead and build, we call them hubs, where people can have those things and eventually transition to work from home. Because ultimately, smart people are born all over the world. Hardworking people are born all over the world. And they just need an opportunity.
Yes.
And we found we could find people that they wanted that opportunity. They want to do that job. And they want to do a great job. We could match them with an entrepreneur that needed help, was having a hard time finding great people. We built in some training, and then we put together a profit share program where people can retire after 5 years. They're vested and they get that the rest of their life. And then we also decided we'd loan them money to buy houses and cars and profit share the interest, because a lot of times in some places, things just aren't set up to do that the same way as we have here in the US. And I mean, I just feel very fortunate every day to be born where I am. I'm very patriotic. I love our country, and seeing other people not have some of the benefits that we have simply for the fact we were born when we were born kind of hurts my heart. But I think that everyone should have the opportunity to go out and earn it.
And you and I completely agree. I believe that talent is universal. It's the opportunity that is not.
Yeah.
And so being able to tap into talent from all across every industry and all across the world is really a very smart thing. So speaking of smart things, Craig, tell me, what trends has your business noticed with the rise of remote work due to COVID? I started a whole new section of my business, which is literally virtual interviews as well as presentations and speaking. I'm used to lecturing all over the world, but with the COVID pandemic, I found that I could not travel as freely as I used to, but people were still in need of the information and the content. So I'm curious what your business has noticed coming out of the pandemic.
Well, we went ahead when we started 2020. We ended 2019, started 2020. We had 232 people in Cyberbacker. It's our second year. And I believed, when the pandemic hit and people start getting locked down, that like many people, the world's coming to an end. And I just went ahead and said, okay, guys, with my team, and said, we're going to do everything we can and we're going to do a great job. We came out of 2020 creating 840 jobs, and then followed by the Great Resignation, where a lot of people were wanting something different in their life, and a lot of entrepreneurs just couldn't find great help. We ended 21 with 2,199 people. One more, we would have crossed that 2,200. But our goal was to go ahead and help small business owners and to create jobs, and being able to do that. The pandemic was a curse to a lot of people, and it was sad to see people get sick and things like that, and people being locked down and having their freedoms taken away. And yet for us, it was also a blessing. We were able to grow as a virtual community. We were able to help other people. We were able to spend time on Zoom like you and I are right now, and really just dive deep into getting to know who we work with and who we work for better.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for me, because I think that the world is moving to more remote, even with people returning to their brick and mortar locations. You're seeing sort of a hybrid right now, and I think your services are going to be very much in need. But I'm curious, since you specialize in people across the world, what challenges do you face as a business that operates internationally?
Well, one of the biggest things people have a interesting time with, even when they travel, is cultural differences. And just little ways to build rapport, little ways to get to know people, finding out what motivates them, what drives them, how they operate. Communication is a little bit different, and you're going to experience that. However, we went ahead when we were setting up, we just happened to luck into the Philippines, where English is taught in kindergarten. So we've got a lot of similarities. In fact, people forget that for a limited time, the Philippines was part of the United States, much like Puerto Rico still is today. And so we didn't overcome a lot of the hurdles. We have hired, I do have a gentleman I used to work with from Bangladesh. That's even more cultural differences because they have less of a US influence like the Philippines does. But we've been able to get through that, and we've picked up just some funny, interesting quirks. But I'm really grateful for the wonderful people in the Philippines that have just been very kind and loving. And I admire their optimistic personalities and their drive to just serve their families. And learned a lot from them. So even though yes, there's cultural differences, I think they've had a positive impact on me and other small business owners who just see their perspective.
It's interesting. You said there may be some cultural quirks, but one of the things that I think we in the West can learn from our neighbors in the East is there's an amazing work ethic like I have never seen. And it is literally in their spirit and in their heart. And so I'm sure that's something that you have seen and have been able to bring over into your business.
Yeah. It's also kind of when you see how hard they work and you're around them, you feel like, A, you can never complain about anything again.
Nah,
You've never had a bad day.
nah.
And as much as how hard I've worked, it feels like I have to do more to keep up with them because I don't, a team's only as strong as its weakest player. And the last thing you want to be in your company is the weakest player.
Absolutely. I do think, as Americans, we take a lot of things for granted. And it's very important that when you go into a different cultural environment, that you go in with an open mind because you sincerely can learn something. I've learned more from being able to travel and work with colleagues all across the world in pretty much every continent. And I think that I'm a better professional because of the lessons that I've learned from my international colleagues. So I understand completely what you're saying. Curious, outside of work, what interests you? You've been talking to me about work. What about what makes Craig tick?
I'm a student of life. I go ahead and I really enjoy reading. I really enjoy self-development. I really just want to live my best life possible. And so I really, really enjoy going and reading these great books and then finding time to meet the authors and figure out what makes them tick. And that's kind of a passion. So, and truly, I'd love to tell you that there was a lot outside of just self-development, but I'm really excited about people that are going somewhere in life and that have these big goals and they want to make a difference. And so everyone in our company, I go ahead, they've got my phone number. I text, we stay in touch. I work to build strong relationships because it's, I don't think that you can put a price tag on a great relationship. And a lot of people, they miss out on really getting to know their people. I love that. And so for me, just being able to relate and associate, other than that, I'm a very normal guy. I'm very normal. And
are you telling me you're like me? You like to go to Costco?
I like to go to Costco. I like to take people from the Philippines to Costco because they haven't seen anything like it.
Costco's the greatest thing. I'm telling you, I love it. That is my favorite place. And if you want to get a quick snack, they're always making something to eat. So talk about being regular. I love that. But you know me, I want to find out where's it going next. So do you have plans to expand Cyberbacker?
Yeah, we franchised it. And we've had a lot of great franchise owners, and then we're sub-franchising because what I've learned is there's some industries and businesses I don't know, and someone else does, and their industry needs something like this. And so working with them to develop these job descriptions, build out the training, and then do what we do best, which is find and screen great people and be able to put them in a position where they can be successful. That's where it's going. We just want to be able to create jobs and start. If we're going one step further, and I'm sure you know this, there's a lot of people on our planet that they never get the opportunity to read or write. And that sounds like a very basic thing. Like we should have that. But there's some people that are kept in poverty, and that hurts my heart. And ultimately what I'd like to do is be able to travel and help those people just have the resources to have access to schools and have access to, networks where they can do that. So there are people that literally in the Philippines live in garbage because it's a delivery system where it's delivered to them. They can rummage through it and then they can go sell it on the streets. That's how they take care of themselves. And I find that is, if you're born into that, that's not an easy life. I've never had.
We still have people in this country. I don't want us to brag that we've accomplished all the things that we need to accomplish also. I mean, we've got people whose water supply is not healthy. And so there's a lot of work to do in our world. I appreciate the fact that you are doing your part in order to keep up with it. Let me ask you before we go, what's the one thing you'd like the viewer of this video feature to walk away with today, Craig?
That they can go ahead and truly accomplish anything they want in this world by helping other people accomplish what they want. And if there's one secret sauce that I've got, it's just finding great people, figuring out how do I go ahead and just within my world, give them the best world possible and help them grow. And investing in people has been probably the best investment you can make.
I think that's such a smart thing. I was talking to someone earlier, and I over the years, I've been sort of obsessed with this whole concept of purpose. What is your purpose in being here? And I really and truly believe that everyone has the same purpose, and that purpose is to serve. Our job is to figure out the best way we can do that. And I think that you figured it out for yourself. And I certainly do wish you the very best of luck in everything that you're doing.
Thank you.